All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Chakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Shalom, salutations to the hopeful elect that's fighting a good fight of faith and truth and sincerity, and wholeheartedly, Shalom to the Akwath, which is the women believer, Shalom to you. All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All of this is going on the Day of Atonement. So last night, the government shut down. And you know how it was always been a threat of government shutdown. And then, when that day come where agreement is met, agreement always be met. But this time it's not, which also show you the relevance of the time. So let's get this. Got like 3 videos to show. So it said, for the vision is yet at an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come and not tarry. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. So, it's going to do nothing but, get worse from this time here on out, man. And the prophet's been telling you this for a long time, and, all of these things that is happening, as the Lord said, that the end will not come until all these things be fulfilled. This generation shall not pass until all these things be fulfilled. So for all you scoffers out there who've been talking, SHIT, mumbling under your breath, playing games, saying where's the promise of his coming. Well, let me tell you something. We in that time. All right. So this is different. Like I mentioned last week at the camp, it's like, so it's always been wars and rumors of wars. The scripture said that would be the case, but there haven't been wars and rumors of war at the same time as the digital infrastructure being set up. Okay. So that's very, very important. From the time of the inauguration with Donald Trump having Elon Musk in his cabinet, and then having all of these technocrats, the Doge, Larry Ellison, Peter Thiel, all of these people who deals with technology and data collecting and network, all of that stuff. Because remember, they want to put everybody on the network. Okay, so it's called the Internet of Bodies. But anyways, let's get into these videos. So beautiful. Now you see, Apostle Ramlab, of course I was at work. Apostle Ramlab, I watched his video earlier. He was going into this, and then he said his video was inspired by the elders in Dallas. They did a Day of Atonement lesson, and Elder Aria, he called, and he said, basically, just to give it a summarization, that it's a spirit that how the Lord allow Apostle Ramlab to have the Day of Atonement, on, September 30th evening to October 1st evening, and then the government shut down at the same time, so it's very, very spiritual. As the scripture says, a man's going is of the Lord. How then can a man understand his own way? Because Apostle Ramlab miscalculated this year. The Day of Atonement is supposed to be on September 1st. But look at the Day of Atonement and everything that's happening right now. So while we're, afflicting our souls and asking the Lord to forgive us, this government is being, as the scripture says, a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. Let's read that, and then we're going to get into the videos. If I'm going to get the NLT on this one. A kingdom divided by civil war will collapse. Because as you see, every time that Donald Trump, matter of fact, let's go back to Biden real quick. When Biden was in office, he always talked about the Republicans. Now Trump, he's in office, and his every speech is Democrats, the left. All right. So you really got blue states and red states against each other, not even knowing that they all work for the same boss. Okay. They all for the same agenda, but y'all gonna find out.
So I am leaving the Capitol. The government has officially shut down. Let me just explain how we got here today. There were two bills on the Senate floor. One was a Democrat-backed bill. Even if it did pass, which wasn't going to happen, it wouldn't have averted a government shutdown because it hadn't passed the House before. These are both temporary funding bills to kick the can down the road just a few weeks. Another was a temporary funding bill that was Republican-backed that had already passed the House. And if it cleared the Senate, it would extend government funding for 7 weeks. This was what Democrats and Republicans were fighting over, right? Democrats said that it didn't do enough to address concerns about health care. They wanted an extension of Obamacare tax credits that are set to expire at the end of the year. Republicans had said that they didn't want to negotiate with Democrats. Republicans had said Democrats were holding the government hostage to have that health care negotiation. Ultimately, when it comes to the Senate floor, that temporary funding bill, the Republican-backed one that had already passed the House, it gets 3 Democrats to vote for it. Catherine Cortez Masto, John Fetterman, and Angus King, who is an independent from Maine who caucuses with the Democrats. But it didn't get the full number of Democrats it would have needed to pass. Because there was 1 Republican no vote, they needed 8, they only got 3. So the government shuts.
Read this in the KGB, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, it cannot stand. They can't agree on anything, okay? And that is a sign that a kingdom is declining. And as the scripture that we just read, it will not stand. So their foundation is on shaky ground right now. So they don't agree. And you think that they're going to agree all of a sudden now? And what I mean by, of course, they might come together. Obviously, they're going to agree when it comes to the mark of the beast. Obviously, this might even, last a few days, and then they have a type of agreement. But the point is that you see the times that we in, that it can even get to this point. So the Lord is showing you that he's on his way. This is what you call an uprising. This is an insurrection. Okay, so this is a uprising from within, because the leaders, they can't even agree. So they might, and I beg to differ, but you already know how this thing go. It's a lot of things that still have to happen. Jacob's trouble, which can happen at any time. The mark of the beast, as you see, and I got a video for that too. Everything is getting closer. And another thing too, all you people who put your trust in Pharaoh, because he is the modern day Pharaoh. Lo, thou trusteth in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt. So you trust in the power of Egypt. You trust in the government of Egypt, because since Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, all right, you didn't recognize, as the scripture says, the next scripture says, Babylon is fallen, Babylon is fallen. And then the scripture after that said, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. If you were to take heed to the prophets, you would understand that there was going to be a day where America was going to decline. So you shouldn't have put all your stock into this place. So it says, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is the Pharaoh king of Egypt, all that trust in him. All the people who voted for Trump, all the people who still vote, still talking about we got to vote him out. Still talking about, basically we need a new president. You still have these type of talking points. No, you need Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. I'm talking to you Israelites. And then that's why the scripture says that, a wise king is the welfare of the world. And that's what's about to come through Yahweh Shai. And that's the Wisdom of Solomon 6:24.
Down. That's it. Now, what does it mean? It means the nearly 4 million federal employees, depending upon how long this goes, will start to not get paid. As of today, Wednesday, federal employees will be told whether they're essential or non-essential. So some will be told to show up to work and work for the duration of the shutdown, but not get paid, and they would ultimately get back pay. Those are employees like TSA agents and air traffic controllers, and the list goes on. And then there are employees that will be furloughed, and so they'll just be told, don't show up to work. But then there's another wrinkle, which is that the Trump administration has already threatened to use this shutdown to not just have some employees show up and not get paid till the end and furlough others, but also identify employees that should be fired en masse and try to continue some of those mass federal firings that we saw months ago in those DOGE cuts to various federal agencies. Democrats.
See, what's happening is that the government is trying to thin the herd. Now, remember, when Donald Trump was in office, one of the main, I told when he first came in, one of the words that he always used to use was merit. He said everything is about to go back to merit. And merit is your worthiness, your capabilities. So, over time, and then at that time too, the Doge was coming. So a whole bunch of technocrats and going into, the financial and people scamming and stuff like that. It sounds and looks like a good thing. But everything is going digital and everything is turning to, artificial intelligence. Most people don't have knowledge in artificial intelligence and computer science and all of that. So everything, also videos that have been made this past year, automation, everything is going to be robot controlled. So it's going to be a lot of people without jobs. And I already told you, and when I made the video, I made the spirit was on me heavy a few months ago about the automation and robots and all that stuff. And then where you think all the useless eaters they're going to dispose of them because it's in the scriptures. Depopulation is literally in the scriptures. When you go into the definition, that's the definition. Bakwak in Isaiah 24, which we're going to get. Because all of this is going to lead to sedition. Let me see if I can get that. No, I wouldn't have it in here. Let's go back. We're going to do it like this. Because all this is what this all is going to lead to. So right now, obviously the federal workers is going to be affected first. Then it's going to trickle down. But all of this is going to lead to a sedition. So it said, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh. Well, in fact, I got to start from 14. It said, woe unto the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, when people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hand. And for there should be a sedition among men and invading one another. Because you got to understand, government shutdown, which is going to lead to a whole bunch of other things that's prophesied in scriptures. This is why we are gun-ho on prophecy, because that's the only thing that gives us answers. The Lord said, before they spring forth, I tell you of them. Let's talk about the prophecy. That's Isaiah 42:9. So we're not blind out here. The things that's going on is leading to the digital infrastructure where people are going to be tested at an all-time high. And if you don't have Yahweh Bashim al-Washai, you will... So many adjectives I can use, but I'm going to say you ain't going to make it. So it says they shall not regard their kings nor princes in the course of their actions stand in their power. Yeah, the people is going to revolt.
What will be shut down? It all depends on what are considered non-essential services. But the Congressional Budget Office put out an estimate, 750,000 federal employees will be furloughed at a cost of around $400 million of pay.
Easy understanding for furlough is being mandatory let off without any pay. Sometimes it could be temporary, but yeah, basically being not paid.
Per day. Now, how about national parks? So here's the thing about that. A contingency plan from the Department of Interior says open air sites will remain open, but buildings that require staffing, we're talking about visitor centers. We've got quite a few of those here in the Philadelphia area. Those will likely see reduced hours or complete closure for the time being. But critical activities like airports, air traffic controllers, military members all have to work and not be paid until the
work and not be paid. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their princes, their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Now you got to ask yourself, why would they work? Because they don't want to lose their job. They have hope that this place will still stand. So let's go back. So it says, woe unto the rebellious children, saith Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, that they cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may ask said to sin, that walk to go down to Egypt, but have not asked in my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. So here's the thing. People still trust in the government. They see this because shit, I know one thing, and the Wadi Yahweh Bashmi, I was shy, I'm not in that position, but you ask yourself, why would people go to work and not get paid? Because they don't want to lose their position. They don't want to lose their job. And they also have faith that this place is going to bounce back. But since I quoted it, I got to get it. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Okay? She's not healed. She can't be healed. She got a time. As it says in 2 Esdras 9:5, for all that is all that's in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So if you can't see it, hey, your eyes ain't blessed that they can see.
Shutdown ends. Banks, courts, they stay open, and the Senate is adjourned until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. More voting scheduled to begin around 11. Fred and Jackie, by the way, Congress still gets paid.
Of course the Congress get paid. They the top dogs. And they the ones that make sure, I mean, they have the power to say this ain't going to pass and that ain't going to pass. Of course they going to get paid. They in the elites' back pockets. They the front men of the elites. But anyways, this is just something that we have to report on. You can't, because if you get, I said this a couple of videos back, if you get desensitized to these scriptures and these talking points, then you will lose the faith. This is our only hope. And also, when something like this happen, we have to prophesy about it. We wouldn't be prophets. We have to speak on this. But here is something that's also happening on the other side of the world. The beast.
I state clearly, as Prime Minister of this country, from October 1st, 2025, if your bank balance rises above £500, the rules will change. On that date, a new oversight plan approved by HM Treasury begins. Your bank will be connected directly to government systems.
Now, as you see, this is the testing ground for what's going to be worldwide. See, they're going full-fledged with it. And how ironic that the UK, Great Britain, all right, London, okay, they are the mother of America. America was birthed out of the UK, okay? So this is the mother speaking, hold on. Damn it, every time. Forgot where I was. Always getting interrupted. But anyways, London, you know, the financial, basically capital of the world, London and New York, you know, Great Britain is the mother, you know, of America, but London is over Great Britain. Okay. So the point is that they going through with it. Everything that we've been talking about. And like the video that I posted, this is called the Mark of the Beast. Now, of course, the beast is just a conglomerate of Edomites. All right. But the beast itself is actually the European Union. Look where the beast is starting off at. I mean, not the beast. Look where the digital ID is being pushed at. Okay. It's called the Mark of the Beast for a reason. You know, the Lord is saving the best for last. You think this ain't about to come over here? Now, you can't even have over $500 for, well, in their case, 500 pounds. That's their dollar. But you can't even have over 500 because then, let's go back.
Pounds, the rules will change. On that date, a new oversight plan approved by HM Treasury begins. Your bank will be connected directly to government systems, DWP, HMRC, and the Home Office. Real-time access, line by line. For those on universal credit, job seekers allowance or student grants, going over that £500 line could mean your account is placed under review for up to 30 days. They call it balance. But in practice, how do households cover rent, energy, food when their funds are paused?
See, this is total control, which we've been talking about. So when the scripture said that he calls of all, both small and great, rich or poor, free or bond, receive a mark in their right hand, because right now, all of this is going to lead to you being digitally implanted. I don't see how you can't see it, because that's the total control. See, right now, if you know your bank account get wiped out, or your bank account, like you said, a new system of control, can't have a certain limit, people will find a way around it. But you literally having a gadget, that's what I'm gonna call it. No, forget that. You having a RFID chip in your hand. What the hell? That's total control. See, with pounds and just like with the dollar, you can still find a way. You can still find some under the table. Matter of fact, you don't have to put your money in a bank account. How about that? You can just have money in your house or money stashed somewhere, whatever. But when it comes to the implant, it's no overtime. Everything listen, it's total control.
Every deposit, every withdrawal, every transfer.
See? But that's only if your money is in a bank, though. So the new system that they're about to bring, the new wine mourneth, the vine language, all the merry hearted do sigh, the mirth of the tabret ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the heart ceaseth. What is the new wine, the new system that this devil is about to bring forth? A totalitarian system. They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink should be bitter to them that drink it. And all that's going to lead to the city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in, because the sedition is going to bring all of that. That's going to bring martial law. That's going to bring, a lot of death. People fighting each other like enemies, friends fighting each other like enemies, as the scripture says, and all because this devil, he want to be like the Most High, but in wickedness. He want to control every aspect of your life. So all of this is going on this side of the world. Okay, because even though London is still part of the West, so the farthest west you can go on this side, the government shut down. And then in London, they talking about, listen, you ain't gonna be able to work without a digital ID. Now you can't even have over $500. You have to be tied to a new system, and let's continue.
Will be recorded with no exceptions.
So yeah, look at her at the ATM.
This is not a minor update. It is a significant step in Britain's financial system.
So yeah, they're going through with it, man. All of this is happening on the Day of Atonement. All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
From October, transparency will no longer mean choice. It will mean visibility. It will mean oversight. And it will mean that every transaction is noted.
So yeah, so that's why everything is going to get you implanted. All right. Everything is leading to you getting implanted, because yes, they got control of the banks. They can control transactions and how much could be in your bank and, all of that. But all you have to do is stop putting your money in a bank. And obviously that's what's people eventually going to do. So then they're going to just do away with the system. Now, a government shutdown, that can lead to the collapse of a system, especially if it lasts longer than what it's intended. So we're just going to see how all of this play out. I just wanted to, report on this. There's so much going on, Anybody who watched my videos, you should know the scriptures. We go through them all the time. All right. I didn't really get that much. I just wanted to get through these videos. I didn't want the video to be too long. It's already at 25 minutes. But yeah, so the mark of the beast is on the horizon. Sedition is about to be on the horizon. All right. And people are not going to be getting paid for a certain amount of a time. And that's the federal. That's a certain amount. And, and it's going to just trickle down from there. So that's why We got to stay prayed up, trusting Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. The Lord said that he would not forsake us. Hebrews 13:5. So all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai and Shalom.